When Rasputin gave us access to his warmind cells, I'm sure he thought we'd use them to protect mankind from existential threats. When the time comes, we will, but the truth is, Guardians aren't always righteous. We want to save the world, but we also want loot, and Rasputin's arsenal is going to help us get it. The 7 Seraph weapons and warmind cells are Destiny 2's first attempts at combining weapons, armor, and abilities into an interdependent system. What this means is, individual pieces don't always feel great, but when combined together, the results are impressive. For today's build, we're going to look at warmind cells working with the 7 Seraph weapon that's also working with our subclass. Let's get started. To start things off, we're going to decide on our warmind cell mods. The foundation for me is going to be Fireteam Medic. This mod causes destroyed warmind cells to heal you and allies near you for a fixed amount of health. The health restored is significant and gives a nice dual functionality to what was originally a damage-only component of our build. With Fireteam Medic slotted in, now the question is, how do I increase the rate of my warmind cell spawns? If we equip Wrath of Rasputin, solar splash damage kills have a chance to spawn a warmind cell, so from there I can choose a subclass that has solar abilities and grenades. I'm going to use the middle branch of the Sunbreaker, the Code of the Devastator. We'll talk about why a little bit later. The next warmind mod I want to slot is Rage of the Warmind. This will change our warmind cell detonations from their default kinetic damage to solar damage, allowing the detonations of a cell to potentially spawn another cell. Finally, I'll equip Global Reach to extend the range of my detonations. Next up, I want to equip at least one 7 Seraph weapon, and I've been enjoying the 7 Seraph VY7 the most. Now, let's go back to our subclass selection. The Code of the Devastator has the definitive strongest grenades in the game, and I love blowing stuff up with them. They don't have a high quantity like the bottom branch of the Sunbreaker, the Code of the Siegebreaker, but their quality is fantastic. Not many things are more satisfying than throwing a Roaring Flames fusion grenade and taking a massive chunk of health out of your target. Roaring Flames increases the damage of your solar abilities whenever you get a solar ability kill, and the buff stacks 3 times. To add even more heft to our grenade throws, I'm going to use the Heart of Inmost Light exotic chess piece. I've talked about this exotic on more than one occasion, and the reason is because it's one of the best in the game, especially for the Code of the Devastator. Its exotic perk, Overflowing Light, causes activating an ability to empower the other 2 with increased damage and cooldown reduction. So, using your Barricade empowers your melee and grenade, while using your melee empowers your grenade and barricade, and finally, using your grenade empowers your melee and barricade. The Empower buff can be stacked 2 times, but only in a specific order. Barricade followed by melee will give you Empower ×2 for a supercharged grenade, which is something I'll be using a lot, and grenade followed by melee will give you an extra durable barricade. Alright, so we've given ourselves more cooldown reduction and damage for our solar ability, now we must fill out the rest of our mods. I like using barricades a lot, so I'm slotting a lot of resilience to reduce its cooldown, but I'm also using bomber in my class item to give my barricade an extra functionality. Activating my class ability reduces the cooldown of my grenade. If you aren't so concerned with using an excessive number of barricades, discipline in high amounts is the stat that you want to look for in your armor and mod for. The more Roaring Flames grenades you can throw, the better. To wrap things up, warmind cells are acting like a supplement to an already powerful build. The Code of the Devastator and Heart of Inmost Light are great on their own, and having little balls of death pop out of my enemies that will also heal me when I destroy them is really awesome. But this isn't the limit to how far you can go with the synergy between your weapon, subclass, exotic armor piece, and mod selection. So for our next build video, we're going to stick with a lot of the same components in Fireteam Medic, Wrath of Rasputin, and Rage of the Warmind, but we're going to try to create something more focused on the identity of Fireteam Medic. A few more things to note about today's build is that if you want to have even more usage out of your Roaring Flames ×3 grenades, be sure to look for armor with a high stat roll on Discipline and swap out your Resilience mods for Discipline mods. You can take things a step further by using 2 Enhanced Bomber mods on your class item, and if you really want to get nuts, look for a pair of Arc Gloves to slot Impact Induction. Causing damage with your melee, in this case the throwing hammer, will significantly reduce the cooldown of your grenade, and the results are very potent. Finally, I was using the Monte Carlo at different points in the video, and the main reason I enjoy it with the Code of the Devastator is for the inevitable moments when I send my throwing hammer off of a ledge, or I can't find it for whatever reason. The Monte Carlo helps me get my melee cooldown back a tiny bit faster. Now you're probably thinking the kinetic slot would be perfect for the Izanagi's Burden, and you're right, but I don't have it, so I can't use it. With all of that said, we're gonna wrap things up here, but don't worry, there's plenty more coming in the future. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. Patrons gain access to bonus videos in which I break down the creative process and the different edits that go into my videos, among other things. This month we are looking back at some of my older Titanfall 2 videos and talking about the creative stuff that went into those. Speaking of my patrons, I want to give all of you guys a shout out for being super frickin' awesome. Aldino, Alex, Avi, Evipen, Jason, Jay, Khaled, Kunaka, Miniflame, Papa Nurse, Ronaldo, Roland, Slen, the Macman, and Wade, you guys are frickin' awesome, and once again, I thank you for the support. Also, anyone else who was gracious enough to become a patron in the past, you're still frickin' awesome, and thank you once again. So as always folks, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.